Hey there, beautiful lady. Welcome. You are listening to The Stylish CEO, the podcast for female entrepreneurs ready to step into their CEO role and be the face of their brand. I'm your host, Laura Jane, your very own personal stylist and women's empowerment coach. I'm a Nutella and ice cream addict, flamenco dancing Yorkshire lass with over 15 years experience of working in the fashion industry. Each week, we'll be diving into topics that cover style, business, and personal development, as well as guests interviews from leaders within their field who will be sharing their stories and expertise. So go grab yourself your favourite cuppa, sink into your favourite chair, and let's dive into these CEO game-changing conversations. Hello, beautiful ladies. Welcome to the very first guest expert episode of The Stylish CEO. I'm so excited because today I am joined by the amazing Susan de Vriend. Susan is an intuitive coach and she describes herself as a heart-whispering mystic. Susan felt for years that she was a weirdo and from another planet and way too sensitive, as I'm sure many of us do feel sometimes. But what she realised is that she had a gift that she'd been hiding from others all her life, and she really channeled into what her gift was, which was this intuition and this heart whispering mystic. And she has been working with highly sensitive women, empathic women who are ready to make a conscious step forward in changing their lives and really embracing all their unique gifts. No matter what her education is or her life circumstances is, Susan just really wants to help these women be the best versions of themselves. And Susan describes her purpose as a coach who nurtures, educates and guides highly sensitive, empathic women to know their unique value, to learn and understand their sensitivities and really home in on their intuitive gifts, so that she can really thrive and create a life that she's fully, unapologetically as she truly is. In this episode, me and Susan had such an amazing conversation and I'm really excited to share it with you because we're going to be talking about how you can be more authentic by listening to your intuition. And intuition is something that we all struggle with listening to, especially in this noisy world that we live in. And quite often we think that it's our ego that's talking to us and we get confused whether it is our intuition or our ego that is talking to us. So Susan is really going to help you really understand what intuition is, how you can listen to it and exactly what the difference is between your ego and your intuition. And she's going to give you some tips that you can start implementing into your life so that you can really start homing in and listening to that intuition and be your authentic self. So I really, really hope that you enjoy this episode. Before we get started with today's episode, I want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by my Facebook group, The Stylish Entrepreneur Tribe. This is an exclusive community for female entrepreneurs that empowers them to be as stylish as their brands. If you are ready to up-level within your business, start to become more visible by being your true stylish, authentic self through your personal style so that you can start showing your potential clients that you are the expert within your field, attract and become a magnet for your ideal clients, and then transform this into sales, then this group is for you. This community is a free, safe place for female entrepreneurs who are chasing their dreams, are fearless and have a desire to show that they are the experts through transforming their image so that they can represent their true stylish self because they know that their personal style plays an important role within their business because it is an extension of it. If this sounds like you, then head over to the show notes at girlbehindthelook.com/podcast where you will find the link to the Facebook group. Now let's kick off this episode. Hello, beautiful lady. Welcome to the Stylish CEO podcast. And for this episode, I am joined by the beautiful Susan, who is my dear friend. I am so happy and excited to welcome you, Susan.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell everybody a bit more about you? Because obviously I've introduced you, but I think you should tell them in your own words exactly what you do.
Well, sure, I'm happy to do that. So I work as a intuitive coach, a heart whisperer, and a mystic. And just to give a little idea of all that, I call myself the heart whispering mystic to kind of bring it all together. But I'm an empath and a clairaudient, and I use a lot of my intuition when I'm working with a client. And the heart whispering part is really me tapping into my client's heart, what the heart really wants my client to hear. So that's where the heart whispering comes in. So I validate my client's hopes and dreams and passions. But not only that, I also help reflect back to her own intuitive gifts and make it a space that it's okay to grow and strengthen that place within her. I found often that a lot of us have these gifts that go unused. So that's a little bit of what I do with my clients. I help them strengthen, but I also remind them of who they are.
Yeah, that's amazing. I really love what you do. And part of the reason why I wanted you to come on this podcast is because I just think you have this amazing intuition. I watch your YouTube channel each week where you do your little show on there where you draw cards out and you do the readings for people that are joining you that on a Monday. And I'm always blown away so much by how you're really on point. And I was just like, it leaves me in shock sometimes because I'm like, wow, she's just really hit the nail on the head of how I'm feeling and what's going on right now. And, you know, I'm guessing that's got to do with your intuition and having that connection with yourself, which is entirely why I wanted to explore this a bit more with you on this podcast. So, you know, what would you say is the biggest thing with like connecting with your intuition and really trusting it?
You know, it's really about self-care and self-love at the end of the day, allowing it. So just as you say, I mean, I do these card readings online, they're free, but I also do them in my client sessions, which I didn't really say in the beginning, but the cards are an interesting tool for the fact that we can all connect to them. It's not really necessary, but I love hearing that you get so much out of it, Laura, because I don't know, right? Like I'm trusting my intuition 100% that the right message will flow through me and land on the ears of the person who it's meant for. But it's not an exact science, which is why we often negate our own intuitions.
Yeah.
So that comes back to trusting yourself and really loving who you are.
Yeah, I think as women, it's one of them things that we really struggle with doing as well, like really trusting our intuition. I think somewhere along the line, it's been programmed into us that we can't trust and it's not okay to kind of trust what we think. And I think we often question whether it is our intuition that's telling us these things. So what kind of tips would you give to the listeners on being able to really listen to that intuition and really believe in what you're saying?
So that's an excellent question. And I want to talk a little bit about it because you are hinting to why we don't. We live, and this is changing almost every day because now we're in this point of our history where everybody's in their homes and shut out from the rest of the world. But we are really in this society of I need to have the proof. I need to have results. And intuition is not a straight line. It works differently and it only comes to you if you really allow it. I mean, it's always happening, but if you're cut off from those messages,
Yeah.
you will discount them because that's some of the social programming. So the tips first is always I'm just going to say meditation is the best way to go. And you can find your way with meditation, how it works for you, whether it's sometimes for me, it's just vacuuming my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's white noise. Going for a walk also is good. But as a beginner, starting to really tap in, your intuition lives in your body, and you need to go within. And I know that's kind of in that space of vagueness, but if you're never quiet and still, then you're not going to hear it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. Because I think, like, I went through about 6 months ago, I had burnout, and I completely had to reconnect with myself and listen to my intuition, because what I realized from going through that moment was that I was constantly living in the past and I was constantly planning for the future. I was never being in like the here and now and living in flow. And I think me getting a deeper understanding of exactly what my intuition is has really helped me get to this stage now. And I know that you know all about it, because I was sharing at the time
Yeah.
the experiences that I was going through. And it's a really powerful tool, I think. And I think often, especially meditation, I think when somebody told me that I should meditate, I was like, oh, seriously? And at first, you feel a bit weird doing it. It's self-conscious, even though you're by yourself. I still felt very self-conscious about it. Whereas now, because I'm used to doing it, I don't feel self-conscious whatsoever. And it's like really getting them blocks out of your head, isn't it? The
Mm.
kind of things that you tell yourself that you can't do, and just doing it. And I think the more you do it, the more you experience and the more power
Yeah.
you gain from doing it, and the more you will listen to your intuition. But I really loved how you just said that you meditate using the Uber, because I would never ever think of doing that.
Yeah. It's, well, there's different ways to silence the mind. And I want to say something about meditation. It's not a destination. I think a lot of, because we're very head driven society. And a lot of people are having burnouts because we're not listening to our body anymore. So we're like disconnected from the rest of our body.
Yeah,
And meditation really helps you go deeper in. But we have 50 some thousand thoughts a day. So the point isn't really to get to the place where you hear no thoughts. It's to have less stimulation, to kind of be with yourself. And that's something Deepak Chopra says. He's like, that's not the destination. And don't get frustrated. And it is like what you said. At first, it's kind of like, ooh, I don't know how to do this. And I feel like guided meditations are very helpful for that, because then you can just have somebody tell you what to do, for lack of better, words, like a gentle guidance. And when you can get to the place of just sitting with nothing, I've done that once or twice. I mean, I have like a whole range of things at my fingertips. I don't just do one thing all the time, because I like to be varied in my practices. But one time I sat for an hour just looking at a plant. That was pretty powerful. But I mean, again, I don't do it every day either. So just,
no, but I try and do at least 5 minutes as part of my routine in the morning, where I just sit in silence. And it is powerful. Like, I only started doing that like 6 months ago, but I've never ever done that before. And it is amazing how powerful just being silent with yourself and just
Mhm.
allowing them thoughts to come and releasing them, just taking that time out and just being with yourself, because it's something that we constantly
Right.
neglect, I think, because we're always
Yeah.
so busy trying to do 1,000 things, especially women. We're always trying to do 1,000 things at once. So just to, even if you can take 5 minutes out of your day, or like you say, every so often, whenever's good for you, take maybe a bit longer. It's such a powerful thing to do.
Yeah. And there's no wrong way to do it. It's up to you. And here's where your intuition can really lead the way. Try something on. I will try different guided meditations. Within a minute, I know it's not for me. I dump it. Just it's your time to be with you, right? I think if you find, hoovering the house, or, meditative, do that. If you find walking by yourself, obviously, through a wooded area, do that. There's so many creative ways. It's a ritual of honoring yourself. I'm going to take everything else out. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got all these other noises going on. This is your time. So, and you can jazz it up. Like I do, I like essential oils, and I'll smell a special oil to get me into that space, because aromatherapy is beautiful for this. But again, everybody has to find their own way. And for the people that I hate meditation. Okay, so I usually work with them where they're at. And I said, okay, if you can do 3 times a day, the 4 times 4 times 4 breath, which is called the yoga breath, 4 in, hold for 4, and 4 out, you're helping your body so much to reset. And because we're always in the stress mode, like you said. And so you never get to the parasympathetic mode. And that's where everything is happening. So anyway, that's my few tips about meditation. It does really start there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. Hey there, beautiful lady. I'm interrupting this episode because I've got a question for you. Are you ready to figure out your personal style once and for all and have a bigger impact on your potential clients so that you can make more money? If the answer is yes, then you really want to check out my free ultimate guide to unlocking your personal style. In this guide, I share with you 8 steps that you can implement into your wardrobe today so that you can have more impact with your potential clients. So if you're interested in getting this, make sure you check out my show notes for this episode, where you'll find the link to grab your copy. Now let's go back to the episode. What do you find is like the most common question that you hear so much from your clients that you work with?
The biggest question I get, especially with intuition, is how do I know it's not my ego? And how do I know it's my intuition? And again, this comes back to, formally I call myself the self-love coach. Self-love has everything to do with inner work. And when you do more meditations, so you start with the 4x4x4 breath, or you move to 5 minutes a day, then 20, then an hour, whatever you expand into, you're going to have a much more deeper connection automatically. And you're going to know the difference between the voices of the head and the heart. It's much more gentle. It almost is sometimes a soft nudge or like a suggestion, like, Laura, this would be really great for you to do. It's got that sense of, I like that kind of feeling. When you hear the ego come in, are usually the ways it starts to talk to you. It'll be like some negative self-talk program, but it will be disguised, or you should is one of them, or the how to. That's more of, I need to find the way, I need to prove that I can do this kind of thing. And that's not, intuition works from a different place, more of a love place. And that's nuanced for every individual. I can't give a roadmap for that. You have to do the inner work to find that way.
Yeah, but I think you've given some really good starting points through this conversation where they can go and just take a few moments and reconnect with themselves and really gain an understanding. And that's something that I constantly talk about, gaining this deeper understanding with yourself, because I believe that when you truly know who you are, that's when you can really shine to the world and you're being like your true authentic self. And it's such a powerful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, especially because intuition's in it for you. There's no agenda, right? So, and we can call it inner guide or inner wisdom. It's connected, but we're using the word intuition. And it's your inner voice, right? It's, okay, well, you know what to do. And that gets clouded by other voices and other things from our past. We have a lot of blocks to it, and those are real, and finding our way through that can take a little navigation too.
Yeah.
But dropping in once a day, and twice a day would be even best, once in the morning and once at night. Like you said, you're really allowing your authentic self to show you, hey, there's another way to do this, or hey, this is more for you, or I don't have anything concrete at the moment, but just like the example of my card reading, it feels like magic, but I just step out of the way and trust it.
Yeah.
And that is the number one thing, trusting. And that kind of is a scary place. We want to have proof.
Yeah, it's really scary. But I think, just like what you were saying, I think the magic comes across through your weekly readings that you do. I always feel the magic whenever,
Thank you.
you're doing them readings on your YouTube channel. I find the whole experience really powerful. It really does set me up for the week, and it really does give me that motivation to, trust myself, because I always find that there's always a card that relates. Like when you ask us to choose a number, the card that I always choose is always something that I'm feeling or something that I'm experiencing. And I'm like, wow, this is so powerful.
Yeah. And I mean, and again, and here's the thing, you're open for it. If you came to those readings with I want to see if she does that, then you're bringing that energy of I'm closed off to it.
Yeah.
You're, and you can do this for yourself, of course, but it also helps. I watch other card readers all the time, and I'm always like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I feel like you should explore it all the time.
Yeah.
And by you showing up and whoever else shows up there with that energy, like it supercharges me too. I don't know it. It's just happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can feel the energy that people are bringing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Energy is such a powerful thing. I love the high vibe energy, because I feel like when you create this high vibe energy, it gives you this motivation inside you. It like kickstarts you to achieve the things that you're wanting to achieve.
Exactly. And that's also expanding your energy out is very much part of intuition.
Yeah.
When you are in a high vibe or a joyful place, if you are dancing, for instance, that's really going to get you into the high vibeness. And you're open to more opportunities and messages. And it is a wonderful place to go. That's like another tip. Like if you're feeling stuck, get off your butt and dance.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love dancing. That's been like my savior. As you know, I dance flamenco. So for me, that is like my hour and 30 minutes, or sometimes 3 hours a week I do. And it's, 3 hours that I just forget about everything that's going on in the world. Anything that's happening, I just forget it, because I'm too busy trying to think why my feet and my arms are not moving the way that they should be. And why can't I pick up that step? It's just an amazing thing, because it just helps me switch off. I feel like dance for me just brings so much joy to my life, and I have really been missing it
Yeah.
when we've been in this lockdown, because it's like I say, it's my 3 hours a week that I can really tune out from what's happening in the world. Yeah, I just love just putting some music on and just dancing around the house, Can even do that when you're hoovering as well.
Exactly. Well, moving your body is a very powerful way of tapping into your intuition too, and also going into that joy space. But I have a friend who's a dance teacher, and she teaches all kinds of different dances, a lot with the body movement, but mostly women. And she says, women, if you only dance 5 minutes a day, you will raise your oxytocin levels for the rest of the day.
Really? Wow.
And so that can get, like even if you just start the day with a silly song and start dancing around, that's going to bring so much joy to the work, and it will create an expansion in your energy, right? So, I mean, okay, I could talk about dancing too, but we're not here for the dancing
No,
show.
we're not. We need to talk about connection. um, But saying that,
Yes.
because we've been talking about music, I think that kind of nicely brings me round to the question that I really want to ask you. I'm asking every guest on this show. So I believe that we are on this journey of destination unknown, and we all know that when we go on a journey, we have a playlist that we're gonna jump in the car and, keep us motivated and keep the car happy. I want to know, what is your theme song? What would you say has brought you to this stage within your self-development and where you are and being an entrepreneur? You must have a theme song, so I'd like you to share that with the listeners.
Oh, Laura, I love a good playlist, but you know what? This is the song right now. And I'm not saying it says it about my journey, but if you were to ask like what you're asking me, what's arriving in this moment right now is Walking on Sunshine.
Oh, yeah. That's such a good song. It's such a happy song as well.
Especially because of what we're talking about. And it just instantly makes me smile. I mean, I used to play all kinds of different songs. Like if I really needed to shake it up, I would do Tina Turner's Simply the Best for like a self-worth motivator. But for this moment now, that's the song, Walking on Sunshine.
Sunshine's out as we're recording this. So yeah, it's the perfect song.
Exactly. And it's been such wonderful weather. I'm in the Netherlands and we usually have rain. And for 2 solid months, it's just been sunshine. I'm like, oh, it's amazing.
That's like here as well in London. I think I've been batting it over to you.
Oh, thank you. Right. I appreciate that. It's beautiful out today. So, but yeah, that's the song I would pick because it automatically, like that joy plays, high vibe, making me feel great. It's just fun. And of course, I love the 80s because they just have great music like that, just quirky songs. Yeah. And I mean, when you listen to the lyrics, it's ridiculous. I mean, all of the 80s songs, I'm like, what? But I loved that song. I don't know what they're talking about now,
It made sense at the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's always about the rhythm and the beat for me.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was listening to Chuck Berry, and that made me happy. So it's just like
whatever inspires you for that day.
Yeah, exactly. And when I was younger, I listened to much moodier music, but now I just, I love that sense of what music can bring to you, that melody and how you can lift your heart up. It's just, I could talk about music all day and dancing.
How can the listeners that are listening to this connect with you?
Yeah. So I have a website and it's www.susandevriend.com. And you can also reach me on my email, which is heartwhisperingmystic@gmail.com. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram at heartwhisperingmystic as well. I have a newsletter and we touch on a few things, but there's also a freebie called the Intuition Builder. So it kind of brings together things that we were talking about today.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's lots of listeners that are going to be wanting to head over and download that freebie. You can find these links in the show notes, so just head over to girlbehindthelook.com/podcast for today's show notes. And I just want to say a massive thank you, Susan, for joining me on this podcast. It's been such an amazing episode and you've brought so much information to the listeners and so much value. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me here. And I look forward to hearing your podcast when you have it come out. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, beautiful ladies. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope that you've enjoyed listening to what Susan's had to share with us today. And if you want to go grab yourself a copy of Susan's amazing Intuition Builder, head over to girlbehindthelook.com/podcast and you will find all the links to Susan as well as that amazing gift that she's got to give to you. And I have taken so much away from speaking to Susan and I've learned a lot from having this conversation with her, and I really, really hope that you have enjoyed it and taken a lot away from her as well, what she had to share with us, and that you are going to start trusting and allowing your intuition to really help and guide you through this journey that you are on. Because like me and Susan were talking about, it is something that we kind of resist, and when you are really aligned with listening to your intuition, it is such a powerful thing and it can really help guide you along this journey. And it all starts with taking that first step and being open to it and allowing it to speak to you, to come through you. And meditation is such a powerful step to do that. So make sure that you share with us in the comments on iTunes how you are implementing what you've learned from this episode into your life, and whether you will be using the 4x4x4 breath work that Susan talks about in this episode, because I really want to hear from you and I really want to hear what your key takeaways from this episode are. So make sure you leave a comment and make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss another episode of The Stylish CEO. Until next time, beautiful ladies, bye for now. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Stylish CEO. If you loved this episode as much as I did, head over and rate and subscribe so you never miss another episode. New episodes drop each week on a Tuesday and Thursday, so you don't want to miss out. I would love to hear more from you on what you thought about this episode and the topics that you want to hear. I also want to shout about you and your business, so each week I will be choosing someone who leaves a review or comment to share with the Stylish CEO audience. Check out the show notes at girlbehindthelook.com/podcast for more information. I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Until next time, beautiful lady, this is Laura Jane signing off.